12:45 Clayton today, and here's our crowd that's turned up. More there, around the corner, a few back there. Okay, well, thank you all for coming, and we're here. Let me get you to maybe stand up there on that deck and point down on me. And if we have a recess, just hit that black track ball and it'll stop.
Okay.
If I fail, I'll have a Q&A at the end, and I will not start until I'm confident that everybody here understands the process. So, whose phone is that? I hope it's not mine. Okay. All right. So, for starters, there is a confidential reserve on the property. That means is, if we don't meet or exceed a certain number that is confidential, as the name would imply, the seller is not obligated to sell. If they choose to, maybe they could, but they're not obligated to sell unless we meet or exceed the confidential reserve. So that's step one. Step two, and that number will be revealed in one circumstance and to only one party, and that would be if the winning bidder has come up short of the confidential reserve, then we will have a confidential conversation with the winner. But if the winner exceeds the confidential reserve, then it will never be disclosed even to them. So that's one point. A couple things that we do. I'm just going to go down a list of things that we do that are a little bit different than any other auction you probably have ever seen and maybe ever will see. For starters, I'm not going to bid call this, and it's not going to be a 35-second experience. 295, 295, read 325. I'm not going to do that. It's going to be very relaxed pace. In fact, it's going to be so relaxed that anyone amongst you that would like to ask for a 5-minute recess at any time during the auction can do so. And I have not had any auctions in the last 4 years. Actually, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. We had one in the last 6 months where there was no recesses at all. But that was the exception. So why do we do that? We do that because we believe in the institution of marriage. We know that there are people here without their significant other. And if you bid beyond the number that you promised your significant other you would not bid beyond, it's going to be ugly. We don't want that. So if you hit that number, for the love of God, call for a recess. Call your significant other, your banker, whoever you need to call, and come back in. Another thing, if you do that, do me a favor. Just don't go out and do a 5-minute recess and loose up $5,000 of extra money. Go get the money. At least 25 or 50 grand, please. I had somebody do 3 in a row and 5,000. Another phone call, 5,000 more. Please try not to do that if you can avoid it anyway. Let's see. The winning bidder today will need to put 3% in deposit within 24 hours. And yeah, we have an escrow open, but of course, it is buyer's choice. We can talk about that with the winner. But we need the money in deposit within 24 hours. A couple of other details, key details. Let's see. Another key point here. If the winning, there's a choice column at the back. You may have noticed. This is going to be buyer's choice. If the winning bidder, we have provided, we think, a pretty thorough disclosure and inspection package, including termite, home inspection, 3R, roof estimates, which the roof is serviceable and working now, not leaking, but we were told it's nearing the end of its service life. So we said we have an estimate on that repair. In spite of that fact, the buyer will have two choices. Choice one is sign off today, it's a done deal, and that's it. There's no further discussion. You're buying the property. Choice 2, you'll notice that the back here is buyer has a choice to accept a mutual 3-day right to rescission. So I just want to make sure that's clear that if you choose it, you're locked in after you sign off on that 3 days. If you ask for 3 days, you get 3 days. But by the same token, if the seller has seller's remorse, you run the risk that if you do that, the seller would have the opportunity to also cancel for any reason during that 72-hour period. Now, you can take 72 hours and call us tomorrow and say, I'm done. The moment you as the buyer lock yourself in and sign off, the seller will be locked in and signed off, provided you have met or exceeded the reserve. Or I should say, or at least irrespective of that, provided the seller has agreed to take your offer. As I mentioned, if you come up a little bit short, I don't know about a lot short, but if you come up a little bit short, it's not out of the question that something could be signed, but I can't say whether or not. She's pretty firm on that reserve. So, in any case, another couple point or two. I want to make sure that everyone has looked over this. I'm going to give you the highlights of the estoppel agreement and the letter which the owner and the upstairs tenant have signed. Essentially, at the end of the auction, I would like the winner to alert us if it is your intention to occupy, as an owner-occupant, one or both of the units, and if so, which one. Or if you intend to keep it as a rental, then the tenant would like to stay and is entitled to do so if you're not moving in as an owner-occupant. She has made some modest requests and stipulations, and she's asked that they be taken care of, and over the next 12 months. She's pretty easygoing. It's not like she's going to drop the hammer and start negotiating on the rent if it's not done the day after you take title. But they're pretty modest requests. I think they're reasonable, and she's even willing to perhaps take care of some of them on her own and deduct it off the rent. But those are her requests that we tell her today if she's going to be needing to be thinking about moving. If she is going to be moving, then it's going to be on the buyer to put $4,941 into escrow, and if she is going to be moving out, we made arrangements with her to be out 72 hours before the close. And you can do a walkthrough, make sure that it's completely vacant, and then you'll need to put that money into escrow to be dispersed to her. And that's as per San Francisco rent control laws. Just in case I want to clarify, I think this is probably relatively clear, but the rent is $2,700 upstairs, but when one tenant moved out, and in light of the fact that she was kind of getting ready to sell the place, and it didn't make sense necessarily to rent it out again, they worked out a deal where she's down to $1,850, but she's quite ready to go back to the full rent. And then if you were to take over, then she'd have the ability to, actually she said she'd be happy to pay it on her own and not get a tenant at this point, but she'd have the ability to also get a tenant once it's stabilized in that sense. I think I've gotten a lot of the highlights. A couple other points, by the way, two things that you might want to talk to me about after the auction. Number one, anyone here that's interested in the process and how it is that we're able to consistently get houses sold in 7 to 10 days with the crowd and typically make quite a bit more money than a regular real estate transaction. If you want to stay afterwards and talk to us about that, we have a tremendous business opportunity to discuss. If you're a broker and you have a smaller company, you can integrate with us and continue operating under your current name, but have the ability to integrate and do auctions alongside us and have a new bag of tricks to get properties sold and very quickly. And anyway, if you want to see me about that after, if there's any interest, agents or brokers. One other thing, I'm going to throw this in. We have, I think, a tremendous opportunity with 2 waterfront properties you might want to be aware of in Richmond. Point Richmond, I should say, right? You can fish off the back deck pretty much in Richmond. Gorgeous views. So if you want to talk to me about those properties, those auctions are coming up next Monday. And there's actually 2 houses right next door to each other, so ask me about that if you want to get info on those as well. I think I'm going to open, give me 1 second. Okay, thank you. You preempted my preemption, so I'll answer that question. And it's a good one. I was going to cover it, but you got me before I got to it. It's common at an auction to add the buyer's premium on to the final bid. So it's keeping the numbers round. I'm not trying to place any aspersions on what I think this property will sell for, but it's keeping the numbers round. At a normal auction with a 6% buyer's premium, if the final bid was $1 million, the purchase price would be $1,060,000. That is not the case here today. There is a commission built into that, and many of you out here are agents who would like to get paid if you're the winning bidder, and you will be paid out of that. But whatever your final bid is, that's the purchase price. So I want to make sure that's super duper clear. You do not have to think in terms of I got to add 6% on top. Not true. That's true at virtually every other auction. But what we have discovered is even if you explain it verbally and in writing, buyers hate it to have 6% added on at the end. They just don't like it. So I'm alerting you that your final bid is the purchase price. Is there any question about that? Because that's key. Clear to everybody? Okay, then I will ask anyone if there are any other questions that I might not have covered. Okay, that's good, that's good. I'll give you just a moment. Oh, one other thing. If we get into this auction and you suddenly realize you forgot a key question, that would be a perfectly reasonable reason to call for a recess and just ask the question for everybody, because there's somebody else that probably would have wished. Okay, question again. Can I review the finance? So, okay, that's another good point. So, not, having your financing fail or your appraisal fail, we do not consider that an acceptable excuse to not close this deal. So, before this crowd clears out, I can have you on the phone with one of our auction designated lenders. You can use whoever you want, but I would highly recommend you run a parallel track with either our particular auction designated lenders at B of A, phone numbers are on here, or Bank of Commerce. Why is that? Because we have found that people will use, maybe you've seen this, people will use financing as a bogus excuse to get out of a deal. Anyone ever seen that happen? I've seen it happen. So what we say is that that's not an excuse. So, but here's the deal. If you get approved by one of our guys, and again, you can go with your guy, but if our guy at B of A or Bank of Commerce approves you and then fails to close the deal for any reason, including appraisal, you will be entitled to all your deposit money back. So that is a money-back guarantee, so that it's not a very onerous clause. We just don't want people using that as an excuse. So if you win, you should immediately call, present us with a pre-approval here later today, and that's your insurance. If anything goes wrong, if my guy at B of A tells me you're approved today, and 2 weeks later I have to come back with his tail between his legs and admit to me he can't get the deal done, I'll know it's not an excuse. And something has changed that none of us could have anticipated, certainly not you, and it wouldn't be your fault, and you'd be entitled to your deposit money back. One other key thing, due to the fact that there is a chance that whoever wins today may choose, if they so desire, to have 72-hour right to rescission, I would highly recommend that anyone that feels you have a competitive bid, not the winning bid, but, in the top 10, please find James or one of our people out front, and we'll be running out there with the sign-up sheet, and put your bid next to your name. Just write it in. And if it turns out that the winner today, calls us back tomorrow and decides they've changed their mind, we'll be calling down that list. So for sure, leave me your bid on that bid card, okay? On the sign-up sheet, I should say. So I think we've covered most everything. Unless there's any other questions, we probably can get started. I think we're good. We good to go? I see a little whispering, talking. I'll give you a moment. Okay. All right. Again, if a question comes to mind, just stop the process, ask the question, because I want everybody to be comfortable and understand this. And I don't want it to be at all. It should be very warm and fuzzy and friendly, non-threatening. All right, so I believe the high bid is, or the opening bid is $595. So if I could see by a show of hands, I'm assuming there's a bunch that are willing to do that. Is there anyone here that would be willing to go all the way up to $650 today? Is there anyone out here? I got $650. I got $650. $650. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So Dave, just pause for me back there. That'd be great. Okay, so is there anyone that's willing to go all the way to 7? I got a bunch. I got a whole bunch at 7. How about 750?
1, 2.
Okay, and I'm now looking for 8. 1,
2, 3.
Okay, 4. Excellent. Quite a few at 8. What about 850? I still have a bunch of takers at 850. And by the way, unless you should worry, the winning bidder usually wins by $5,000. Just FYI. So I throw that out there. So we may change the bid increments at some point, but I'm at 850 with a bunch of takers at 850, I believe. Or did I get ahead of myself? Is there a bunch of takers at 850? I believe so. Is there any takers at 9? Do I have any takers at 9? I got 9. I got 9. I got 9. How about 950? That a bid down? That was a near scratch. Okay, good show. That was a scratch. You have to be careful when I call for the bid. Don't be doing all this, because you'd be sold, So I got 9. I got. Is there any other takers at 9? I got a handful at 9. Then back here we got some competitors at 9. And 9. So 950. Is there a sold here at 950? I see a bid at 950. Guys, checked out that view up there, right? Because that's a hell of a view. It's gotten damn quiet at 950. I'm kind of surprised. I've got a handful at 950. Is that you? 950?
Almost close.
I got 950 at least once, twice. I'm looking for $1 million. I am looking for $1 million. I got 950. I got $1 million. I got $1 million. Is there any competitors at $1 million? I got a couple at $1 million. So I'm now looking for $1,050,000. Does anyone need a reset? This could be a gold number. I got $1,050,000. It's not necessary. Got a couple at $1,050,000. Is there a sold here at $1,001,000? And if you guys think you're competitive, you should find James. Maybe you can get their number on the sheet if these guys want to leave us a number. So I'm sorry. I was at $1,050,000 with a couple guys. I got $1,050,000 and I got $1 million. I got a couple at $1,050,000. Is there anyone interested at $1 million? It's gotten so quiet and slow up there. Is there anyone in at $1,075,000? I got $1,075,000. I got $1,075,000. I got $1,075,000. $1,075,000. I'm looking for $1,001,000. I got $1,001,000. I got $1,001,000. I got $1,001,000. So I am now looking for $1,125,000. And I'll just ask, is there anyone that needs to make a phone call? I told you I don't want anyone getting divorced over this silly thing like a house purchase. That would be crazy. So I got $1,001,000. I'm sorry, I left off $1,125,000. Did I get that right? Raise your hand if you're in at $1,125,000. I got at least a couple. Is there anyone that needs 5 minutes to make a phone call before I continue? Raise your hand now if you need 5 minutes to make a call. This is the moment, or I'm going to keep going. I'm looking for 1.15. I am looking for 1.15. I got it once. I got it twice. I think that was a nose itch. But I got 2 at $1,015,000. Is there another person out there I can't see? We got 2 at $1,015,000. Is there anyone in at $1,175,000? Boy, it's gotten quiet. Okay, all right. I got $1,175,000. I can drop this down. We can do $1,000,000.185. I got one at 1.175. Is there a soul ready to compete? That is about $50 a month. I got $1,175,000. Is there anyone interested in $1,185,000? Okay, I got a couple at 185. I'm just going to round this off because I can't do the math and talk and all this. Let's go to $1,200,000. An even $1,200,000. That was an inch too? Okay, just check. Yeah, but some people are like, they're trying to be slick, so I got to double check, So I got $185 a couple times. Is there anyone interested in $1,200,000? Are you bidding $1,200,000? I've got $1,200,000. Well, that's it. Can I say something? The minimum bid increment, I call that. Anyone can exceed my bid increment by, that's okay, I have people do that all the time. That's a technique, it's a strategy. I have had people double the bid that I call for. It can have the effect, it can have a real chilling effect. It can chill out the bidding significantly. Believe it, it's a little unnerving to the other bidders. Ma'am, are you in at $1,200,000? Am I correct? 1.2. So, is there $1,000,000? Let's $1,200,000.1. Should I go to $1,020,000? Is there a soul in at $1,200,000 plus 25? $1,200,000 and 25,000. I'm at $1,200,000 as we stand. I'll take an extra 10. Is there $1,200,000.1? I'm at $1,200,000. I need $1,200,000.1. $10,000. Is there anybody that needs a 5-minute break right now? Okay, we got a 5-minute break. So we got food, we got drink upstairs on the second floor. We'll call you all down. Bidding stands at $1,200,000. Bidding stands at $1,200,000. So help yourself to some champagne and mimosa. We'll be back in 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Ready? I'm going to shut this off for a second. It's not shutting up.
Let's take a look. Okay, so you just